better not be saying no. Okay, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna play this video. It's pre-recorded. I'm talking in it already. The reason why I have it pre-recorded is because of technical difficulties that always happen in my stream. I have it, it's done. There's no way it can mess up, I hope. And so I'm gonna play it, and during that I'm gonna be answering questions in the chat. Alright, so feel free to ask anything you want during the entire video, and I'll answer it in the chat while the video is playing. So you can, you know, just ask and I can answer immediately. Okay? Alright, so I'm gonna mute the mic and then I'm gonna start the video. Alright? Also, let me know if the sound is okay. Like if it's too low or too high or you can't hear it at all. Let me know in chat and I'll change it and or restart it if need be. So yeah, let's begin. Okay, so this is going to be a tutorial on Narcis Prince and how to fight him properly. Don't mind this box right here. All it is a controller input display, so you can see what I'm pressing. The fundamental thing that you guys need to understand about this game is how to do buffer strats. And I feel the easiest way to do that is to have everyone fight Gabby J. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, here are my buttons and directions, if you're just wondering. I'm gonna pause just to show you what's happening. So the first thing you guys need to understand is check out where his guard is. It's down. I paused at 0-1 just to show you that he lowers his guard. If I were to hold up instead of just pressing pause, what would happen is he would have his guard up and I wouldn't be able to punch him in the face, but because my guard was down, he lowers his guard too. He looks at your guard and copies it basically. So what's going to happen when I unpause is this, I'm going to punch him in the face a couple times and then counter him. And after that I'm going to pause again, and that's to let my super bar fill up, because normally it would take longer, but yeah, so I'm just going to do this. Whoops. Okay. There we go. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to hold buttons, basically. Like, the first thing I'm going to do is hold super punch. Super punch is going to happen the frame that I unpause. The earliest possible frame that I don't know what his name is, but I'm just going to call him Mac, even though he probably isn't. I'm going to hold super punch and then unpause, and then he's going to throw a super punch right away. And then I'm going to do a series of movements that let me throw a super punch at the correct time, basically. So as soon as I see Mac's punch start to go, like he's going to go and you know, there's a long animation and all that. While he's doing that animation, I let go and press duck. Now, I'm just going to hold duck, and as soon as he's done with that last attack, Mac's going to now duck on the earliest frame possible. And once I see him start ducking, then I press this and let go of that. It perfectly chains all of these together. That's a low right punch. And then once I see him start his low right punch, I do an uppercut, which is this. So let me just do the input again. It's going to be super punch, duck, low right punch, uppercut. And he goes down immediately. So let's just press this and begin. It's that simple. You have a huge window for changing all of those inputs, by the way. So, yeah. It shouldn't be too difficult once you know what you're doing and what the strats are. And the other thing I want you guys to do is practice this fight, Heikikigero. But I'm going to have you practice a very specific strategy. What I'm going to have you practice is the single segment strategy that I use for my single segment run. Now, the only difference is phase 2. It just has another rapid punch in there. And the rapid punches are what we're practicing essentially. So, I'll show you how to do that. The first punch is to the gut, so I'm going to have my guard up. Buffering these. Okay. Now, I'll pause just to explain this. What's going to happen is, I'm going to hold Super Punch. And as soon as I see Max start to move, I let go and press it. Just like that. That's all you have to do. You don't have to, like, rapid press it or, like, you know, do any rhythm or anything. It's just you hold it. Once you see him move, you let go and you press it again. You can sort of think of it as, like, an inverted button press. Like, instead of just pressing the button real quick, you're holding it and you let go of it real quick. So. Ooh, lucky dodge. All of those actions were buffered, by the way. So that's more practice with buffering punches. It's just that simple. So yeah. So I'm gonna switch to something else right now. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. What we're looking at here is we're looking at a Delicat's 847 TAS versus my 866 IL for SDA. Now, the TAS time is actually 843, but that requires an extra rapid punch and a frame perfect punch that you have to get. And it only saves 2 frames, so we're not going to do that unless we like get an 847 and someone's determined enough to go for the 43. We're not doing that. Now, I'm going to have this play out just so you have a realistic idea of the time that we're trying to save. So, yeah. He's not going to get up from that. But yeah, so it's not a lot of time, but it is very noticeable. And to beat this IL that I have, we need to see all the mistakes I did. So I'll just play it in real time until I get to the first mistake. All of these are, actually, I'll go frame by frame here. So, like I mentioned before, I want my guard up for the first moment of the fight. And then, so that's why there's like nothing happening on both sides. And then the next frame, we see the TAS and me do a low punch. We've already manipulated his guard up, so we're now punching him in the gut because he's not going to lower his guard now. Not for a very long time. So, once you have that going, then these 2 punches are buffered. And here's the first mistake I do. So, I backed up a little bit. So, What we're going to see here is the TAS gets his punch ready by 184. He's already trying to throw his punch. I'm not doing anything yet. So 186, still nothing. And then 188, I start to throw my punch. The timing for this punch that I usually do is as soon as I see him go into this stance, then I try to punch him. You kind of have to feel around for it, but once you get like, okay, this is how early I can punch, then it should be no problem really. But yeah, that's 2 frames, but that's not what we're super interested in right now. But it is important to point that out, that I made a mistake there. And you can see the difference right here. 343 and 347. Exactly 2 frames, like I just showed you. Actually, let me back up a little bit. I didn't want to go that far. Okay. Right here. So I'm going to advance right here. So at this moment in time, he's throwing his punch, and I'm doing nothing. So far we know that I've wasted 2 frames. So let's see how many I'll waste here. So this is, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 frames from that. So 2 of those frames were obviously the first 2 frames I showed you earlier, but that means I lost 6 frames here, which is a whole bunch of time for, you know, this IL. Now, I forget exactly if this punch is buffered, this one right here, but it's a pretty easy punch, I think, because it seems like I got it frame perfect in my IL, so it's either real easy or it's a buffered punch. I forget because it's been a while since I've actually fought this guy with this strat, but yeah. So then you gotta buffer this other punch, which, you know, no biggie. And right here, we're throwing rapid punches, and these rapid punches are just like Heiki Kagero's rapid punches, where you press the button and then you just let go and press it again real quick. As soon as you see this sprite happen, that's when you want to do that. I actually lost a frame here also in this rapid punch. Once you start the rapid punch and you see him start to do it, then you don't have to continue pressing anything. He just automatically does these 3 rapid punches, and Narcis should go dizzy. Now, here is one thing that is a little challenging about this strat. You could get all the luck perfectly and hit every punch, but sometimes he won't get dizzy. Now, the way dizzies work is you want to throw all your punches like, I guess you could say it's like compact. Like, you want your opponent to not breathe, because the faster you do damage to him, the more prone to getting dizzy they are. There's a memory address that chronicles this, but I haven't messed with it too much yet, but yeah. But what you really want to take out of it is you want to have really tight execution wherever you can, and I'll show you some tricks for that pretty soon. So when he gets dizzy, the cue that you want is right when he like juts up and down like 2 or 3 times. You want to throw your super punch there, and he should go down, no problem.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fight!
Okay. Here's another cue that you need to pay attention to. We're going to look at this side of the screen. So I'm going to go right here. We're going to be looking at his feet, because he does this thing where he moves them back and forth. They're, I guess they're called strides, if I if I remember that terminology correctly from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. But yeah, so he's gonna stride 3 times. This is the first one that you see. So as soon as you see that, you just go like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and then you throw your rapid punch very shortly after you see the third. Or wait, actually, okay, so the first, I'll go back a little bit. Right here, okay. Yeah, so you're actually not going to see this first one because it happens so fast. It's only visible for 2 frames. This is the first one you're actually going to see. So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, and then you throw your rapid punch right after. And it should counter him if you did it right. And it's the same type of rapid punch that you see with Heiki and, you know, the one that we did in phase 1. Okay. Now, for this one, he goes back to the ring and he juts up and down a bit and then he stops. Once he stops, you gotta wait for a very, very brief moment and then you throw your super punch. You want it thrown just ever so slightly before he starts moving. Like as you see right here on the right side, I start throwing it and then he moves. That's the timing you want because it'll deplete 3 frames off the timer, and that's the optimal punch for that. The optimal timing for it. So yeah, that's a pretty comprehensive breakdown of how this fight went versus the strat that I used. You know, the tasks of that strat. But yeah. Oh wait, one more thing I forgot to mention. In phase 2, when we're doing the rapid punch to send him to the back of the ring, I waste 1 frame getting him to the back of the ring. Just 1 frame. Everything else was perfect. So that's a total of 10 frames that I wasted. 12 if you're considering that the actual task time is 8:43, but from getting from 8:66 to 8:47, it's 10 frames off. And the biggest chunk of those frames is right here, when he enters back, and we do that punch. I waste 6 frames. 6 of the 10. That's over half of the mistakes just in that one punch. So how are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to show you a couple of buffer strats I found. And the first one, we're using this one. This one is a really easy 100% buffer strat that gets him framed perfectly. So I'll just show it, and I'll comment on it after. So, standard starting, and it's right here. So yeah, he dodged that last one, which is typical of him. He loves dodging things. That's something everyone's going to have to get used to. He's just a champion at it. So, but yeah, that buffer saves 6 frames. And it's the easiest buffer that you'll see. I'm actually kind of surprised that I never even thought of this until after I did the Narcis Prince IL attempts. So, everyone that's going to be trying to beat this will have this to their advantage, which is going to be a huge, huge thing. And, okay, so this buffer strat is in phase 2. And this one, well, you guys can use this one at your own risk. There's kind of a positive and a negative to it. So I'll show it. So this is phase 2 where we look at his feet and we're like, okay, 1, 2, 3 strides, throw the rapid punch. So instead, you could actually do this. you can buffer a low right punch into a rapid punch, and it'll get him. Now, this buffer only wastes 1 frame, and if you remember, I wasted 1 frame in my IL. So you would be on par with my IL, even though this, this is way easier to execute than looking at his strides and executing it manually. However, Narcis Prince has this property about him where if you throw a punch at him, then what happens is he'll try to dodge you. There's a chance that he could dodge you or, move out of the way, and if that happens, your attempt is over. You're going to waste way too much time and the buffer is just going to fail. So, on one hand, it's like you can reduce the execution to something really simple, and if you're not too confident in your timing, but if you don't get the luck, then you've thrown away an attempt. So I would, if you're not confident, I would definitely recommend this, but be warned that you're going to have to face a lot of luck to get everything right. And I do have one more buffer strat, but this one is, well, it's a bit ridiculous, and I don't expect people to use it, but I thought just for completion's sake I'd show it too. So the buffer strat I'm going to show after this is oops, I'll go back a second. Yeah, so you do low right punch and then a bunch of optimal rapid punches into an uppercut. That buffer, the input for that is pretty ridiculous. So you have to press and hold low right punch, and then you have to hold up and super, and then as soon as you see him move, you let go and press super button, and then he does the rapid punch. And then once you see that end, then you have to let go and press it again, and then he'll start it again, and then you have to let go and press it again. It's ridiculous. And then you have to let go and then press it and hold it. So you have to do it all real fast, and you can't mess it up at all, or else you've ruined it. Now, I don't think people are going to use this unless they're super confident in the way that they do rapid punches. And even still, it's easy to mess it up, and it's way late in the strat. So if you are super confident in your rapid punches, you can do that. But good luck. So, yeah. One thing that I also should mention is this fight is super random. Absolutely ridiculous randomness. You have, well, I'll bring up the task versus IL again, and I'll point out the luck that you need. So before you even throw a punch, before like the first frame the fight happens, Narcis needs to not move. So that's one event. You also need him to not dodge your attack. So that's 2 events. You also need him to not dodge your next punch. So that's 3. We're barely a second in, and there's already 3 random things that need to go your way. And then during that moment where he's just kind of standing there, he needs to not move, he needs to not counter, it's just ridiculous. That's 4 events. Right here, once he's in this pose, there's nothing random here. And there's nothing random about getting that punch because he's stunned and he's not going to move. But this part right here, where he's in the back of the ring, this is super random. So I'm going to bring up this other video. Here is the 3 possible patterns that you can get from doing that. So yeah, these three punches that he can do. He can either do a right punch. Well, I mean it's technically a left punch. He can do this super slow hook, or he can do a punch to the a right punch, or a punch that's on your left. Now, we don't want either of these patterns. We want this one. So I'll play it again. Where he punches with that fist. Without that, the buffer doesn't work. So, because if he does this one, he blocks because he attacks immediately, and you're trying to punch him on the wrong side. With this one, you're gonna throw two punches, and then he's gonna he either hits you. Something dumb happens when this pattern happens. I forget exactly which. I think you don't have enough super bar to take advantage of it. The current task strat actually wants this pattern to happen, believe it or not. But you won't know that before you try to do the really hard part of this strat, which is a frame perfect punch a couple of minutes ago. So yeah, this is what we're up against. I told Mr. K about the randomness of this fight and how I only got to complete the IL strat one time out of like thousands of attempts because his luck is so obnoxious. So when I told him about that, he was like, "You know what you should do? You should get a bunch of people to just run trials on this guy, and someone's bound to get this to happen. You know, to get just any better time." So now that it's come to this, where there's no other fight other than Narcis, it's now time to do this. Everyone that's watching this, hopefully, is interested in time attacking this guy, or at least, you know, the people that I've seen that were interested in, you know, doing something with this game. I hope everyone that's interested tries this. It should be a lot of fun, and it'd be really cool if we beat this this run. And yeah. If anyone has any questions, just post them in the chat, because most likely I'm going to be streaming this. And good luck, everyone. I hope someone gets them. Okay. That's the end of that. So, yeah. That's what we have. We have a buffer strat that we're definitely going to use. It's going to save 6 frames. This is me talking, by the way. The video's over. So yeah, does anyone have any, like, lingering questions that you might have? That's cool, Economics. Even if you want to do it just for fun, that's totally fine. Hi, Ketchuper, what's up? Did I miss a question? Where is it? I can't find a question. Yeah, you know what? Actually, this game is actually available on Club Nintendo. You can actually still get this for free on your Wii if you have a couple of Club Nintendo coins or whatever. And you can get it through that if you have a Wii anyway. Hey, Denzel Glovington, what's up? Just doing a tutorial on Narcis Prince. Yeah, so what's happening at the start is I have my guard up. Let me find a spot in the video. I'm gonna go with the buffer one. I'm gonna mute the video because it's just gonna be nonsense. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna go through this frame by frame. So remember when I said in the Gabby J part where I had my guard up for the first moment? I'm doing, for Gabby J my guard was down, but for this fight, my guard's gonna be up. Just gonna frame advance very slowly. Hopefully VLC won't, oops. Go back a little. Okay, yeah, so nothing's happening here. Technically, the best that I want is for when the timer's at 0:03, that you see me start my punch animation. That means I did the thing frame perfect. So it looks like I didn't do it frame perfect here. I start punching at 0:07, so I lost a couple frames. But yeah, so yeah, Narcis, he looks at your guard and he copies it, but he leaves his gut open. So for this strat, we want to punch him in the gut twice. I think Sinister would be more qualified for such a tutorial. I could tell you what I know after, but yeah, we want 2 punches there. That's what we want. That's what we really need for this strat to work. I seem to be logged in still. Danzel, I actually did one attempt at Tyson, just one in the middle of my super punch out attempts, and I got him round 1 first try. I was real happy about that. It should be in my archives. It's cool, man. Yeah, I could try to tell you, go through some tips on that. But does anyone have any more questions on this before I switch stuff around? I forget exactly if I ever tallied this, but there's something like, I think 11 or 13 random events that you need to go your way for this Narcis fight. And so the reason why I want like a bunch of people to attempt it is because when I did attempts, it drove me nuts. Because it was just like complete monotony. Just constantly like him dodging everything. But if a lot of people tried it once, then the chances of us getting the strat to work are way, way better. Yeah, Sinister knows all the stuff. I only know like maybe half of it, I feel. Maybe a little bit more. There's still some stuff that I'm like learning from that from his stream. Like every time I watch him run that game, it's like I learn a new thing. But yeah, anyway. So I think we're done with this. Unless anyone else has any more questions, I think I'm gonna change stuff around. So, anything else? Give it a minute or so. Well, no, I mean, if you want to ask, go ahead. I'm totally open for some questions, if there are any. Thanks, Denzel. Oh, okay. I'll I'll go into that right after I'm done with this. I think everyone is all right with this. So I'm gonna highlight this, and I'll link it in the Super Punch Out topic or the thread in SDA, and it'll also just be in my highlights. I might even upload it to YouTube since it seems like people would rather watch it on YouTube, and I don't blame them. So yeah, um, thank you for stopping by, and hopefully this will be a nice reference for people who are doing a 10